all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. I feel so free, oh my sweet baby. I was never the one to give up the ghost. No, I was so stuck. I kept on playing my part, wanting to give up cause nothing was changing. But with you it's so clear, and now that you're here I see colors in every spectrum. Guess I finally learned my lesson. Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby. And I think to myself, and I'm thinking out loud, we won't need nothing else for the rest of our time. And I know it so well, I will always be by your side. Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby. My wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. I feel so free, oh my sweet baby.
Tiens, commence. Moi, je...
I kept our photos, I just hid them away. So when I'm over you, I'll look and say, don't be sad that it's over, just be happy that you got to hold somebody's heart, even if it wasn't for very long. I keep our memories in the back of my mind, so as I age I'll remember the time when we didn't look too far in front of our own eyes, 'cause being young was something our parents told us would fly by. Well, we're not young forever, but when we were together, time slowed down. Didn't have forever, but I was whenever you.
Non, on l'a fait comme ça. Après, on est ça. Merci. Ils sont parfaits. Collez la porte. Un, deux, trois, quatre, cinq, six, sept, huit, neuf, 10, 11, 12. C'est joli. Merci. De rien.